ladies and gents, we are moving to our panel conversation. I would like to position it as a masterclass, not as a panel. I think people often have a different viewpoint when you say masterclass, because the team I'm about to bring on stage is packing. All right, and we're going to be having a conversation around empowering SMEs in the evolving market, the role of corporates in providing platforms for SMEs to succeed. Now, to my team that is coming up on stage, if you can please grant me the permission to only just read a shortened bio, just your titling in the obvious interest of time. I do apologize, we are running slightly late. And just quickly, by a show of hands, is anybody feeling a little bit nippy in here? Should we turn down the aircon? Just one person? There? Okay, we'll try and stabilize the aircon. But as mentioned, we're about to go into quite an exciting part of our program, and I'd like to call my A-team onto stage. Esther Mukumbo, who heads up post-investment at Masisizane Fund. She's an experienced development finance and investment professional. And then we have Tshepo Marumule, who's a group head of public policy and external affairs at the Takealot group. He has over a decade of experience in management and leadership roles in the private and public sector. Can we please have Marcia Tshabalala, who is the retail operations manager at SPAR North Rand, an accomplished professional with a robust background in retail and wholesale. And then we have Tashline Jooste, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Innovator Trust, a board trustee of the Innovator Trust Group, and a fierce advocate for the empowerment of women entrepreneurs in tech. All right, if I can just ask the support team to please bring us some bottles of water. Thank you very much. And let's kick it off with you, Esther, and talk a little bit about access to finance. We know that it's a critical need and an issue for SMEs. What innovative solutions, and we're speaking financial solutions, does Masisizane Fund offer?
A great question. Can you hear me?
Can we hear her? Yes.
Okay. Sorry, something's wrong with my... Okay, there we go. So Masisizane Fund, I think, just to give context, was established in 2007. I think Dumiso, our CEO, mentioned, you always, when an entrepreneur comes along, they bring a piece of paper, set of financials, a dream, a goal that they have, and you hope that that dream and goal will be enough for you to get funding and for you to get assisted, so that hopefully over the years you pay off whatever the facility, the funding that you've accessed. So I think at Masisizane we pride ourselves in the sense that we're different from a bank. Okay. A typical bank would look at you and say, okay, what's your track record? What have you done? Who do you supply? What is your business model? How are you generating revenue? From a Masisizane perspective, we look at ordinarily businesses that wouldn't be funded by banks. So we fall in the DFI space, development funding space, where we look at you, you might maybe have an idea, you've been working in corporate for a while, and you realize, no, I want to quit corporate, and I want to start my own business because I really believed in this dream and I want to start my business. We would look at you holistically. We would look at, what is your experience in what you want to start in terms of your business? Who are you going to sell to? Are there gaps? So we look at you holistically. You might be strong in engineering, for example, in the products that you're offering, but you're not strong in accounting services, for example. So we look at you and say, okay, we see the potential in you, and these are the gaps that we've identified from the beginning. So what we have is a 100-day plan. So when you come to us for funding, we look at you and say, okay, over the next 100 days, for your business, 100 days, for your business to be successful, what are the interventions we need to put in place for you to be successful, for you ultimately to generate the revenue and everything that you need? So we look at all key aspects, and we look at you with the potential, the future in mind. And we also put, interventions to assist you so that you're, at the end of the day, you're able to have a sustainable business. So we're not your typical banking sort of environment. We do offer the opportunity and see the opportunity beyond where you are now now to what you can be, and make sure that we assist you along that value chain to make sure that your business is sustainable in the long run. So those are some of the interventions that we have at Masisizane to assist entrepreneurs.
So entrepreneurs, SMEs seem to be scrambling all for the opportunities that are available. But how important is it as an entrepreneur or an SME to know where the business is, the stage, and know how to correctly match that with a funder?
So I think you start the journey and start speaking to various funders.
Okay.
You have conversations. I think it's very important. Dumiso mentioned once you're in, you're married. It's a marriage, it's a partnership. And it's very important for you to look at who fits into what you're trying to do, because different funding institutions have different funding opportunities, but which funder actually identifies with what you're trying to do? Will they support you? Do they offer additional support outside the normal finance? Because yes, you've gotten finance, but there's so many things that you need to do to be sustainable in the long run. So you need to make sure you identify who are the possible funders, and there's various funders that, you know, for example, manufacturing is their strength, IT, for example, is their strength, technology. So you need to make sure you match yourself with who actually talk to various people, get an idea of what they fund, and then try and then work with those, because you know those will be the ones that will assist you to where you're trying to get to.
All right, thank you very much, Esther. Tshepo. Am I getting that right? Tshepo, sorry, my apologies. Tshepo, e-commerce has transformed retail. Takealot, how is it enabling SMEs to leverage the platform for growth of their businesses?
Yeah, dumelang.
Le kae?
Firstly, thank you so much for inviting us and allowing us to interact, especially with women-owned businesses. I think at a personal level, as an individual, I'm quite passionate about what we do to enable and support women businesses and women entrepreneurs. And there are a number of things, you know, that I'm going to say later on, where we have a deliberate focus on women businesses. I think if we can empower women as a society, we stand a chance of achieving the aspirations we have for our country and our society. And I think we've got to be very deliberate about that. So really happy to be here. And my departure point in terms of what we do as Takealot is our internalization of what the Constitution of South Africa really puts as a serious burden on our shoulders. The preamble to the South African Constitution starts with we, the people of South Africa, you know. It doesn't say we, the politicians. It doesn't say we, the government. It says we, the people of South Africa. And we, the people of South Africa, make decisions every day when we sit in the boardrooms that we sit on. What is it about the decisions we take that internalizes and reflects our understanding of what the Constitution asks of us? So Takealot as a marketplace is a homegrown business, and I think it is important always to share this, is that Takealot as an e-commerce business is a business made and built by South Africans. We've got 400 engineers that have built the software that is the platform, you know. And we compete head and shoulders against the very best in the world. I think many people always ask us about what are we doing about the new entrants that are coming, whether from America or from China, you know. But we are competing toe to toe. Notwithstanding that they're sitting with 2,000 and 3,000 engineers that are supporting those businesses. With the 400 engineers, we really are formidable. So when we look at funding and access to markets, our point of departure as Takealot has always been in the value chain of small business development, of entrepreneurship development. What do we stand to offer that nobody else offers? Okay. It's important to not replicate what other people are doing. And that is why we're not doing enterprise and supply development in the way that many businesses are doing, because we believe that we will be adding to an ecosystem that already has a lot of that going. We needed to answer the question, what is it that is missing in that ecosystem? And what is it about our own capability that contributes into that ecosystem? And so what we believe that what we provide is access to market. But not just access to market, but also route to market. So we've got logistics infrastructure, logistics capability nationwide, which means that you as an individual, as an entrepreneur, If you manufacture a product, we can make sure it goes to any consumer in any part of South Africa. You don't have to worry about that. So your product can reach the consumer. That's our route to consumer that we're talking about. But from an access to market point of view, we've got an app and a platform that has about 4.5 million consumers every single day that are consuming different products. This is the market that we are bringing to you as entrepreneurs. So this is what we want to bring into the ecosystem is access and route to market. So what is it that we are currently doing to support and enable the success of entrepreneurs? We recently launched the Takealot Township Economy Initiative, and as part of that program, we have committed to creating 5,000 manufacturers just in Gauteng. Yesterday, we were at the launch of the SPAR's socio-economic impact study, and you may have heard Minister Pakster announcing that Takealot and the department are partnering on that program to scale it at a national level. So now we're going to implement the Takealot Township Economy nationally and the multiplier effects of that, and further announcements will be made in time. What is it that we want to do? If you go into any retail store today, the biggest retail stores will be, let me not mention names, but they'll have between 450 and 500,000 products, unique products on their shelf. Right? That's your biggest. So in other words, your smaller retail outlets, at any given time, if you get into that store, you are only limited to probably between 100,000 and 200 unique products that they've got on their shelves. On Takealot, we've got in excess of 2 million unique products that you can have access to as a consumer. So the question is, with the market insights that we've got and the market knowledge that we've got as a Takealot, how do we use that to then go back into the market and say, you know, I know many workshops that we go to always say, start a business about what you are passionate in. if you're passionate about chairs, make chairs. But our departure point is meet the market need. Then you'll make the money to pursue your passions. But in the first instance, meet a need, because when you meet a need, you have a business. If you don't meet a need, you have a hobby. And it's important for us to be clear about this, right? So we've got insights into what is selling on the Takealot platform. And so we want to utilize these insights to help stimulate local manufacturing. We are particularly focused on local manufacturing, but not just local manufacturing, low-cost local manufacturing. Because when you are on the Takealot platform with your product, you are not competing with South Africans. You are competing with the rest of the world, because on the Takealot platform, we have products from every corner of the world. So your price cannot be a price that is competitive only when you look at it in relation to South African products. From a price point of view, it's got to be competitive when you look at it in relation to the rest of the world. And we know there are parts of the world that have got very, very low production costs, but there are a number of interventions that we are doing to support the achievement of low-cost manufacturing for that competitiveness on the Takealot platform.
Tshepo, perhaps maybe let me intervene there, if you may allow, because that's exactly what the conversation needs to be about today, right? So we've got a lot of young entrepreneurs that are in the room saying, I want to compete competitively on Takealot. So you said you started alluding to some interventions that Takealot is making. Can you maybe speak to those? Because I was noting down 2 million unique products. How many of those are South African? And what are those interventions to help somebody who's sitting in this room, as Sihle's brews here, loads it on Takealot, but there's 50 other different brews of coffee. How does he compete?
No. So fair enough. And I think it's a good example. So he will be competing with a whole host of coffee brands on the platform. So part of what we do, we have developed a growth model. So we've got the world's leading brands, and I don't want to mention them, but we've got the world's leading brands on Takealot, and you'll see, when you open the app, you'll see their adverts, you'll see their banners there. So we enter into journeys with these businesses to realize certain revenue targets.
Okay.
So we have developed a growth model that is linked to certain revenue targets on the platform, which we will be rolling out. That will include advertising, so advertising on the platform. It will include a number of other interventions. There's about 5 different interventions. All of them are linked to, on the Takealot platform, per month, how much do you want to make? Because we've got a scientific model that is tried and tested, where if you do specific things, you can be able to hit those targets. If you want to do 1 million rands per month on the platform, there's a journey to enter into. There are specific things. So when we talk about development finance, and I've been talking to Masisizane Fund for a very long time. One of the reasons why I accepted was hopefully this time we can get down and sit and have an agreement, because this email thing is not working. So now we are here, so we don't have an excuse. Let's make this thing happen. But part of what we look into this to say, we are not in want of money. We are in want of money that can demonstrate clear ROI. That's our problem. This growth model that we've developed gives you that ROI, because if you spend 50,000 rands or whatever the rand value is, we can tell you the trajectory of your growth on the platform over a period of time. That is the most clearest, most direct, most concrete mechanism that we've got that provides entrepreneurs with a clear view of what their growth trajectory and growth strategy can be.
I don't know, perhaps I'm not understanding. Because it sounds like even the guy overseas can do that, can enter into the journey. So maybe I want to put it on ice for 2 seconds, right? And come and bring Tashline into the conversation, and maybe we'll come back to it. Because I need to understand, and I want my example to be Sihle's Brew. Sihle's Brew is on Takealot. Sihle needs to compete with all of the other coffee brewers. How does Sihle, I mean, he can have 50,000 and say, I've got 50,000, I want to sell 50,000. You give him a journey, perfect. But how does he then compete? That's what I'd love us to tap into. Tashline, let's talk a little bit about Innovator Trust. I know that you're quite big on mentorship and technical support. Maybe if you can just take us through how that helps SMEs in the market, because often the first thing SMEs think is, I need funding. Yes.
100%. So the Enterprise Development and Supply Development Program of the Innovator Trust has been running for in excess of a decade. And what we basically do is not just specifically mentorship per se. Our programs run for 2 to 3 years, and that is the ESD program. And then we have an acceleration program, which is about a year. So nothing on the Innovator Trust programs is a one-hit wonder. It's about growing sustainable SMEs, and I've heard that earlier. The term sustainability keeps coming up. Because ultimately, you want an SME that can thrive in an environment and survive in an ever-changing environment. We've also heard about COVID earlier. And it's not just COVID, it's load shedding, water shedding, all the sheddings that we've had that affect SMEs. And ultimately, that's an ever-changing environment, right? That's one. But 2, you have this entire environment of digital transformation also taking place. So SMEs need to gear for that. So this is where the Innovator Trust comes into play. It's not just about creating workshops, which we do. There's workshops specifically for finance, for HR, negotiation skills to place you in front of clients, etc. Then there's a layer of mentorship. Then there's a layer of digital enablement, especially to address the digital transformation era that we are currently in. And then we have another layer to address coaching. Why is coaching fundamental? Many of the entrepreneurs have anxiety in their business. They have extreme stresses. And if the driver or the jockey in the business is not supported, it affects how he runs his business, his or her business. And ultimately, we need to have a foundation of coaching as well. So our ESG program specifically speaks to a holistic view of an entrepreneur. There are KPIs in place that also track specifically revenue generation, employment creation, accreditations that SMEs need, certifications, software development. So we track all those KPIs in order to assess whether you actually have a sustainable SME at the end of the day.
And often what happens is a lot of funders complain that the recipients or the beneficiaries they don't show up for the post work that needs to be done once they've been funded. Perhaps let's talk a little bit about some of the SMEs that you guys have worked with the Innovator Trust. How receptive are they to the coaching and the mentoring and the follow-throughs?
If I can just add, when COVID hit, we had a 91% sustainable success rate of all our SMEs on our program.
Wow.
And that literally, thank you, but that speaks to what interventions you put in place. So when an SME receives the funding, it really is fundamental to keep track of that. And SMEs, they don't want a handout. They're not looking for a handout. They're looking for the support and the guidance on that journey at the end of the day. So when you ask me, you know, how receptive they are, they're extremely receptive if you explain the program from the start, what the outcomes ultimately are, but also you place success factors in front of every entrepreneur. You can show them what the other entrepreneurs have achieved that have gone through a program such as that. I have just had the honor while I was sitting there receiving an SMS from one of our SMEs who are alumni. And they've been on our program for they were on the program for about 5 years, but currently we know them in the network as the family of Innovator Trust for about 7 years. Literally still messaging to find out, do you have the details for X? Do you have the... And they've grown from a 4 million rand business to an 85 million rand business through the program. We have... And those are the success factors. You can grow from a 200,000 rand business to a 1 million rand business in a year, or alternatively into a 2 million rand business by the end of year 2. But that does take a significant amount of effort and work from the entrepreneur themselves versus just looking at, I'm going to get the support or I'm going to get the mentorship. You know, it really takes effort, it takes time. And understanding, and I think that comes back to when we're talking to the Masisizane Fund, and earlier I think Mr. Zulu referenced, you know, the compliance and the regulation factors. Innovator Trust specifically focuses on compliance and regulation for SMEs. It is such a bane, it is such a challenge for SMEs, but by the time they leave, it's clear. There is nothing we're going to get if we don't have, one, our compliance is in place, and two, our finances in place. Annual financial statements, you know, when you walk into a client's office and you can show that happiness, you know, at least one step. But many of our SMEs, and I can't speak to the SMEs in the room, but understanding your finance is critical. Make sure you have a financial accountant or you have a finance tool that you get training on. And that's another aspect. Every single SME on the Innovator Trust receives either a financial tool or a financial accountant, or we ensure that we pay for their financial accountant. Because no SME will leave the Innovator Trust without having annual financial statements at the end of the day.
Right. Thank you very much for that, Tashline. Marcia, let's talk a little bit about local sourcing. How is SPAR ensuring that SMEs and local manufacturers are integrated into the supply chain? I know you're a buyer yourself, so maybe you can talk us through how you are integrating them, but also give us maybe a bit of a success story.
Good morning, everyone. So one of the things that people don't know that SPAR currently has is a small supplier development program, which is available to the public. I'm not sure if how many people that are in here are actually aware of it. Oh, I'm glad to see that there are people that are actually on it. You can register on it, and one of the benefits of it is that, firstly, as I'm going to allude to what the likes of Lumiso and everybody else has said, is to make sure that you are compliant. If you're going to get into a food or retail space, there's certain things that need to be in place, like your COA, for an example. You need to have your HACCP certificate. So a lot of our suppliers walk in and they don't have such thing. So the program allows you to, and it grooms you so that you are compliant in that particular workspace. Another thing is that it also exposes you to our partners. So instead of you being specific to your markets that you're currently trading in, it opens up doors for you, because then you are, the retailer is then able to source you without you having to go door to door, which we understand that it's a very expensive exercise. And I'm going to just quickly mention one of the success story that we currently have, apart from a lot of the people that are already listed and they're already supplying the SPAR stores. We do have a lady in KZN. She is, she's got Utingo Mills, and she's currently supplying a lot of the SPAR stores. She's a young black female who started the business, and she's now one of our biggest suppliers when it comes to maize meal. And I mean, that goes along with a whole lot of other people. We've got suppliers that also say, we want to get into SPAR, we want to get on your shelf. So there are different platforms in terms of how you can go around doing it. You can get into the supplier development program, or you can get listed directly with the distribution center, because once again, it's another platform in such a way that it saves you from distribution costs. And we always know that costs are a factor more than anything else. How do you then reach your consumer once you're in the space, once you're listed? How do you get the product? People say, I don't have the trucks. How does a customer order from me? So those programs then allow you to make sure that you've got the program, you've got just your products on our shelves. Yeah.
Let's talk about, and bring back the conversation from Tshepo, competitiveness, right? And how a South African local product can be a standout. Because sometimes you go to the supermarkets, you try to get listed, and they tell you, no, we're already saturated in that category of markets. And a lot of people have received that response. But you are trying to bring an alternative to what your global suppliers are bringing. Do you guys have a strategic intervention to say, look, because you're a local product, we will find a shelf space for you?
We do. So we get into partnership, we get into terms with you in terms of making sure that you are on our broadsheet, which is our leaflet space. We also run expos, we run trade shows where the suppliers can also showcase what it is that they offer to the consumer. In terms of funding, we've obviously partnered with the likes of Masisizane Fund to make sure that your brand is out there. So definitely, we definitely are out there. We've recently got it's not recent, but we've got an online platform where we make sure that all our products are there, they are listed. And then on retail level, the beauty with SPAR is, because we're individual retailers, and by the way, we're not a franchise. And I know a lot of people tend to make a mistake and think we are a franchise. No, we're voluntary trading. You are then able to interact directly with the retailer to make sure that you've got sufficient space on the floor so that you can also showcase your brand. You do your web demos, you do your own in-store promotions, you can go in and put up posters. So there's a lot that you can either do directly, or you can do it via the head office, or you can do it via the distribution center.
Now, of course, and sorry to sit on this, economies of scale comes in, right? As a local manufacturer or producer, I'm having to obviously manage those kind of things. So, and this could potentially be just a perception. I want to supply SPAR or sell through SPAR some pens, and then SPAR says you must bring 1 million of them. And then I go to Masisizane and say, I need money to buy 1 million pens so I can go deliver at SPAR. And Masisizane says, you are not investor ready. How do we bridge that gap?
Not necessarily. I think that's a misconception.
Okay.
More than anything else. So we always advise our SMEs that go do your research. Is there a need for the products that you're currently bringing into the market? Number one. Do your research in that. How much money do I actually need in terms of the business model? Am I going to need distribution? Am I going to need marketing? And am I going to need advertising? What is it that what am I going to need? So what SPAR cares about is the fact that, will you be able to supply? We will not give you the number, because the sales will grow over time. And the sales will grow based on, is your product, is it good quality? Is it properly priced? Because ultimately, with not SPAR, with Shoprite's, Macro, or anybody else, we cannot make a demand and expect you to have quantities that are just going to sit there. You want the return on investment, we also want the return on investment. So the idea is not that you start big, the idea is that you put your product out there and it's visible and it's available to the market and it's a good quality product more than anything else. And the rest we will support you. In addition to that, obviously there are certain programs and upskilling of our suppliers that we do also provide in the background to make sure that your business is sustainable. Because when your business as an SME is sustainable, it means we are also sustainable. It means that there's a demand in the market. So it's a win-win situation.
All right,
If you fail, we fail.
Yeah, I like that. Ladies and gents, the beauty and the burden of sitting up here is that I can see everybody's facial expressions. So please, if you do have questions, if you want to probe something, very, very open to that. The team is here. So I say to you, this is the A team. They're here to answer any question that you may potentially have. Esther, let's talk a little bit about some red flags when it comes to funding readiness. I know Ndumisa started speaking a little bit about funding readiness. To you, what are those things that stick out? No. You know, it may, and maybe I'll give you an example. You know, sometimes we think we're running businesses, but we're self-employed, right? So we've got everything, but you are self-employed. You know what I mean? So maybe you can take us through your top 3 red flags.
So I think, you know, we spoke about it. One, the entrepreneur. You cannot separate, as an SME, sometimes you cannot separate yourself from the business. Sometimes there's that interlinking where you don't have a set salary, so whenever money from the business comes in, it goes. As funders, what we don't want to see is we give you funding for the business, and next thing we see a Porsche or Ferrari. So we want to
But
see...
I must thank myself.
We want to see that your intended purpose of why you need the funding actually materializes. So we want to see, how do you manage your stuff in your own personal capacity? So unfortunately, we do pry into your personal stuff. You know, what does your credit check look like? If you've been listed, and Ndumisa mentioned it, what were the reasons? Because sometimes there's valid reasons. So if there are valid reasons, you might be listed, but if there's valid reason, we can also still look at you and we can overlook it. So how do you spend in your own personal capacity? Have you differentiated yourself from the business? Is the money you're getting, do you have a set salary? We want to see that you have a set salary. Sometimes as funders, we also limit how much you can draw from your salary, from the business. So you don't want to be draining the business too much, paying yourself a large salary that the business cannot sustain. So is there a certain revenue, maybe perhaps? So we look at your revenue and say, okay, on an annual basis, maybe increase your salary in such a way so that you don't sort of draw too much salary from the business. So we also look at personal, business, how much are you withdrawing from the business? What is your contribution as well? Because yes, and we usually call this skin in the game. We want to know that you're also putting yourself on the line. We're a funder, we're backing you. So are you backing the business? What are you putting on the line? Are you signing personal surety? Are you giving us some form of security to say, listen, I'm contributing this much. Is it 5%, 10%? And then Masisizane fund, if you're youth, you get preferential rates. So we can sort of top up the contribution that you have, for example. If you're a woman, youth living with disability, all of that stuff counts more, weighting. We can contribute in a certain way to assist you reach the contribution that you need to start the business. So those are the sort of things and red flags that ideally you don't want to, as a funder. Do you give us financial covenants? I think Tash mentioned it. You should be able to have financial records. Do you keep financial records? Do you actually understand the financial records that you're keeping? So half of the time we'll get financials and you see certain items and it's not balancing. Then we ask you, but how are you making these decisions? If you're running a business, you should be getting management accounts, which will tell you, okay, this is how in the past have performed. What are your forecasts? Are you forecasting, you know, Ndumisa said if, 20 billion, if only I get 1%, does it sound reasonable or not? Because half of the time you're saying you're going to capture 1% of the market and it doesn't materialize. Sometimes you only have one contract. And if that contract, something like COVID happens and that contract is gone, do you still have a business? So those are the questions that we prod and ask that I think as entrepreneurs, when you're coming to get funding, you need to think about these things before you approach us for funding.
You see, the problem is that the accountants and the business coaches, they make us cram answers. And then you get there and they're like, these numbers are not balancing. Now you don't know what to say because they're cooking the numbers. But Esther, let's talk about that because it sometimes gets a little bit confusing. You know, you told you're a natural person, the business is a juristic person, separate your business, use a business account, use a personal account. Now we're coming in this room and you're telling us, but we're going to look at both of you. Now it's like, but we are not one. I've created a juristic person, right? So that, I think, is where it gets confusing oftentimes. But I also want to find out, because, you know, if you've ever looked for a job online and you filled in that CV thing, they'll tell you that if there are no keywords, it throws your CV out. You are sitting there wondering what happened. Do you guys give this feedback you're talking about today? Do people actually get the feedback? Do you call them into a room? Or do they need to at least meet some criteria before you give them feedback?
I think as part of the rejection, we would take you through that.
Okay.
And I think this is where, so during, let's say you're not ready in 2024, this is where funding readiness and the innovative, people like Innovative Trust come in, right? Because there's almost a journey. I think you mentioned a year or 2 years program. So you might not be ready in 2024, but maybe you might need to go through a program that gets you ready. And there's various programs available. So we might reject you and say, okay, listen, maybe your product is not viable right now. Is there a market need for it? Because if there isn't a market need for it, how are you going to sell? What sort of revenue are you going to make? So then it goes back to say, okay, maybe join a program, a funding readiness program that will allow you, right now you're not ready, but maybe if you get ABC right, and we'll point you in the right direction. We'll say, maybe it's your revenue, we don't see it. So in rejection, we'll make sure we sit down with you and say, okay, these are the reasons why, and maybe if you sort A, B, C, and D, or refer you to other funding readiness program, you can come back to us in the next 6 months or a year when you are ready for the funding that's available.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions? We've got a question there. I've noted it. We've got a question. Oh, love it. We've got a lot of questions. So if the team can just support me while we're waiting for the team to move around that mic. Tshepo, I'm back. MDU is back. Let's talk about that journey that you were taking Sihle's brew on. I don't know if I'm the one hearing you incorrectly. If I'm a global brand, am I also being taken on the same journey, or is it specifically for South African brands and products?
Yeah, so there's two things, right?
Okay.
In partnership, what we are doing now as part of our partnership with the government. So the first instance about discoverability on the Takealot platform is that if you are price competitive, so in other words, when you go into the app, you can see the same product at different price points, right? So being price competitive is a very useful starting point, right? And that is why a lot of emphasis. So one of the partners that we are working with is the localization fund, right? As well as Productivity SA. And what we are doing with them is around the discipline of manufacturing optimization, getting waste out of your manufacturing processes. It's the technical elements that have to do with producing a product at the lowest cost possible. Right? So you've got to optimize your manufacturing process. That's where it has to start. Then we say, now that you are on the platform, one of the things that we are doing with Proudly South African is that we are developing a Proudly South African landing page on the Takealot platform. Okay. So what that means is that if you get into the Proudly South African section of the Takealot platform, you are only interacting with only South African businesses.
Okay.
In other words, you are now no longer part of
the other 2 million.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So you're no longer part of the wider network.
Yes.
That way, consumers are much more focused, but also consumers are more deliberate. They are looking for that local product. But then getting onto the growth journey. So the growth journey model that we are developing is exclusively for South African businesses and also for South African manufacturers, right? And the different elements that we are putting in there, there are elements that an international brand, some of the other international brands because it's a developmental intervention. It's part of the enterprise development program and how we are using some of those funds to enable the success of the marketplace sellers on our platform. But the other point I really just wanted to share is that we currently have 12,000 marketplace sellers. You know, you don't have any other business that has 12,000 small businesses on this platform. It's a lot of businesses, you know. But we think we can get to 30,000 businesses that are selling on the Takealot platform. And so the work that needs to be done is quite a lot. But majority of them also don't necessarily produce products locally. They import products and then they sell them. Some of you who buy on Takealot, you will have seen that, you know. So what we want to see is how do we localize? How do we get, because we know what's selling, you know. I know how many of these we sell every single day. I can give you data aggregated but also disaggregated that can help in decision making on what to manufacture, how to manufacture it, at what price point, what materials to utilize, because materials also matter in the production process, but also materials matter in terms of the consumer experience and the user experience. So one of the products that sell quite a bit on our platform are the wooden spoons with a silicone end. So we are realizing that a lot of women like cooking with them. So as we engage them, why you like cooking with this? Like, no, the wooden part is firm, but the silicone doesn't damage my my pot. So I'm able to stay and put my ingredients and all of that together, you know. And that is why one of the programs that we will be launching very soon is around manufacturing innovation. Because the mindset that we want to inculcate amongst our entrepreneurs is continuous problem solving. So when you get into your house, from the garage to the kitchen, to the lounge, to the dining room, to the bright area, to the garden, there's opportunity for optimization, for innovation. So how do we get into the culture of innovating solutions and products that we ourselves are using? So the solutions are not out there, it's the things that we ourselves are using. So how do we get South African entrepreneurs to invent stuff for the bathroom, to invent stuff for the bedroom, so that we then can localize, but localize with innovation in mind? Because when you innovate also, you'll always be ahead of the international market.
So our ask, Tshepo, would be, can that list come out quicker? Because that Takealot list about what's selling quickly, what's selling the most, so please, tell it quicker so that we can innovate.
Yeah, so when we partner with the likes of Masisizane Fund, one of the things that we'll be interested in is who are the businesses that we have funded?
Yes.
And then can we have engagements with them? So we can only do these things through partnerships, right? But obviously, all of these things have got to happen in a way that is compliant with the law and the requirements, because you can't be anti-competitive. So we've got to do it in a way that is, so we can't be irresponsible in terms of how we manage this thing. There are laws, there are rules in South Africa that we must also always observe as we do these things. But certainly, it's the thing. If we are invested in Project South Africa, it's a no-brainer. In fact, it's a program that everybody in this country who sells to consumers should be doing. We should be saying, how do we do import substitution? All of us can do it. Majority of us are selling products not made in South Africa. But we can change it, and Takealot is really playing an active role, and we're invested in seeing this succeed, and that's why we are happy with the partnership that Janine referred to with Project South Africa.
Nice. We've got a couple of questions here. Okay, perfect. We'll start there with you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you very much to Noel and this opportunity by Masisizane. My name is Sonwabo Zide. I represent a VC fund. My question is relatively simple. It's around appetite for funding tech-based businesses. I think technology and the digital area has been mentioned a few times today, but generally speaking, a lot of the funding focuses and the priorities are geared towards addressing some of the social ills that we have in the economy, and rightfully so. So, you know, be it unemployment. I think recently we saw the unemployment figures come out. So how do you balance, when you look at businesses that you're looking to fund and or support, between addressing some of these social ills and tech-based businesses who generally create efficiencies and are perhaps not geared towards increasing employment? Thank you.
Right, who's going to take that one quickly for us?
I was going to delegate to my, but I'll also allow my colleague to come in, Tshepo to come in there. So I think one of the things before we were known as an agri-fund, and I think we've moved away from that. We're still there, but sector agnostic now. So we do, where it fits in with our mandate, we do look at it. It also looks at, is it viable? What stage is it at? Are you already have a product? Do you have a already viable product available? And then we take the conversations forward. I know there are a couple of deals that have been done, and maybe Tshepo can jump in here, that have looked at the IT tech sector, and I know we've got our colleague here from Next 176, which also focuses on that. So maybe I'll delegate this one to Tshepo, my colleague there.
All right. No, thank you. A great question. So SA has highlighted that previously the fund was a limited sector focused fund, right? So we're focused on 3 sectors primarily: agri, franchising, and supply chain development. And that's why, for a long time, the market knew us as an agri-funder. Fast forward 2022, we then said there's a number of SMEs that we're not supporting as a result. So we are now an industry-agnostic fund, and tech falls part of that mix. So we certainly look at tech opportunities, but later stage opportunities that have demonstrable traction or with a clear milestone to profitability. And that's where we come in. The early stage, and this is where Songoba then come in, looking at the much earlier stage tech opportunities.
I think maybe just to add, Old Mutual is a big, complicated place. So it's always great kind of working with the different pieces of the business, and also just breaking down where small businesses need to knock on the door. So exactly like Tshepo's shared, Masizizane's got that specific focus. There is also a VC arm within Old Mutual called Next 176 that effectively focuses very much on technology startup businesses with high growth potential. And really, we then have specific ecosystems or industries we look at, but with very much a very heavy tech focus. So education technology, or health tech businesses, or agri-tech businesses, or in the job and employment space that is technology enabled. And I think there's different pockets of funding, even just within Old Mutual, that it's quite important for a small business to know what are they looking for, what's the mandate, and approach the appropriate funder rather than kind of knock on every door and hope for the best. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Are you asking us a new question? Just hold on for me for 2 seconds. Tash, I think you could also contribute to that last question.
So just to add to that then, I think from our side, the support is predominantly for tech-based businesses. So the Innovator Trust supports only ICT businesses. So it's tech-based. And I hear you wholeheartedly when you say, sometimes you are, there's no increase in employment numbers immediately. But what we do is we consider each business, whether it be a software development company, an IoT business, whether you are in fiber analytics, you're laying cables, etc., whether you are doing LAN cabling, networking, etc., within the buildings, whether you are providing servers, etc. All of that's obviously within the tech space. But ultimately, many of the businesses that we support can come on board as a 1- or 2-man business. And they can grow exceedingly well, because within the tech space, it's about collaborations and it's about creating partnerships, which also brings me back to why funding, that question that we always have, why is funding, or the access to funding, the challenge? And I think we need to take a step back as SMEs and as entrepreneurs, is identify what that line item is within the business. What does it represent? What is it that I'm short that I need access to funding for? And when you understand what that line item is, there could potentially be a collaboration with another business. There could potentially be a partnership with another business. It's not necessarily that I need to specifically go to a funder funding. There are other avenues to look at and to start with first. But when it comes to the support of small businesses, and this is SMEs under 50 million, yes, the support is there, whether you're in the tech space as a single business, or whether you're currently employing 30 people, whether you're currently employing 105 people.
All right, thank you very much. I'm just quickly going to ask if we can take those questions in a batch so that we can facilitate the responses of them. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you. The first one is for you, Esther. It's a clarifying question. So firstly, what's the range for the Masisizane fund? But two, really for clarity, I'm not sure if I got this. So you're a development fund, right? And the understanding is that you're a little bit more lenient. So I don't think I got the answer quite correct around this Tshepo's situation, where there's a business that has shown profitability in the past, there's a clear engaged audience previously, they go through a difficult time. Is there any cost-correcting interventions that are there in Masisizane, or you completely you say if you've had problems in the past, start somewhere else and get ready and then come back to us? It's just, if you can clarify that. And just the last one for Takealot. You've mentioned that you guys have a lot of, obviously, the sales and market insights around the demand. Does that only become available when people become your marketplace partners, or is that information accessible if we reach out?
All right, thank you very much for that. We can take the next question.
Hi, I'm Tshabalala Ndlovu from Amile Wines. This is for Takealot. I did the application, uploaded the products, and then you guys didn't have the distribution liquor license. So it stopped the whole process of me partnering with you guys. And it was so difficult because I uploaded the products, spent 6 months doing the criteria that you guys needed. And then every month I'm asking, okay, when are you getting your license so we can be, so I just wanted to know what are you doing to fix that?
All right, thank you. Can we take a question? We'll come back to this table if we can take Halima.
Hello.
I think it's on, Ma. Just tap it.
On.
Yes,
Okay.
Perfect.
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Marcia. I'm the founder of Chinese Ginger. And I just want, this question is referred to Marcia.
If you can just bring it to us. Yes, thank you.
Sorry, this question is referred to Marcia.
Okay.
I have put my product into 2 SPARs, which is Bonaveli and Corporate. So I heard you talking about the chain stores. So I just want to find out more, and then how will I go about, and then maybe helping me with the networking as well, because I'm not clue with this online, and is there anybody that can help me on that?
All right.
Thank you.
So you're looking to expand into more shops in the SPAR network?
In SPAR, because I didn't know that they've got a chain stores as
Yes.
well. I thought it's individual.
Okay, okay.
So I have put into
2 already.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect, Ma. Thank you. There was a question from this table.
Okay, thank you. My name is Rufuno from Tosh Detergents. So my question is also directed to Ms. Tshabalala. I think it's tied to that one. So with the supplier development, why is it that you have excluded all other sectors? Because it's just food and farming. So that means I, from the detergent sector, do not qualify, and why not? And often, I'm also in some of the family stores, but I want to be nationally listed. And each time we speak to the buyers, they tell us that the market is saturated. Who is saturating those markets? Because it's the multinationals. Right now, as you're seated there, there isn't a single SME-owned detergent that is on the national SPAR shelves. I want to be that person.
Yes, that's how you get on the shelf. All right, do we have another question here?
Hi, my name is Marumule, and my question is for Tash. So I would like to know that how does one start the journey with Innovator Trust, and what is the criteria?
Okay. Can we just take those questions, then we'll do another round of questions, and then in the interest of time, we'll have to cap it there. So if you've got another question, please prepare it for the next round. All right, let's start off with Marcia. Marcia, let's talk about expanding into the network, and then also why the exclusion of certain industries. I want to come to the bottom so we can hear and move the answers.
Okay, so I'll start with you, May. Or also just on a general. So SPAR has got 6 distribution centers around the country. As much as we've got a central office, which is what you call, the centralized where the CEO and the group people are currently at. And we feel that a lot of people don't actually understand how the chain actually works. We always advise that if you are a smaller person, like you saying, it's not on the small supplier development program online, and may saying, well, I'm only available on 2 stores locally. There is an option to go directly to the distribution center without actually having to go all the way to central office. You speak directly to the buyer. So it's always easy to just get an appointment. You speak directly to the buyer and say, I want to list this product, and they'll give you the requirement in terms of what is required. Then you can either be listed and come through the distribution center, or you can be what we call a drop shipment supplier, which you would deliver directly to the store, but you've got a direct relationship with the store, but your books and the payments, we will make sure that you get your payment. So we become almost like a third person, if I can put it that way. In your particular case, where they're saying, well, the product, the market is saturated, we'll have to go back. I'm not a detergent buyer, so we'll have to go back and just find out what the issue is there. But however, there's always an opportunity. Another alternative with the SPAR, because it's retailer owned, is to also go directly to the retailer themselves. So the retailer is at the actual store. The retailer is actually at the actual store. You've got a direct contract with that particular retailer. There are pros and cons on doing either one of the two. The one part when you're listed as a supplier obviously is going to require that you have certain documentation. There are contracts. It's what people would say it's tedious and it's got red tape. But financially, it protects you because then it guarantees that you are going to have your payments. You will have specific trading terms, if I can put it that way. If you go directly with the retailer, unfortunately, because we're voluntary trading, we don't have, we don't have a view of your contracts between you and the retailer. It sort of puts you at a financial risk. If that retailer at the end of the day doesn't pay you, we can't intervene, because now you're a direct supplier. So there are ways and means in terms of how you can go about to get your product on the shelf. It's not just one way only. So directly to the retailer, or you can become a listed supplier, or you do it on a regional basis, or you can do it at a national level.
Marcia, while we've got you, we've got a question that came in from online. Somebody wants to find out, does the SPAR procurement process focus solely on just physical products, or does it also look at somebody who is a service provider who wants to directly provide service to the SPAR group?
We've got service providers. So we've got different departments at SPAR. We've got IT departments. We have a training department. We've got learnerships. We've got training and development. So yes, we do have service providers that we outsource. Not everything belongs to SPAR. So some of our IT systems, like the gentleman was saying, it comes from an outsourced company. Our learnership programs, we would outsource. We're affiliated with certain SETAs. So you come in, you do the training in-house or retail training as well. So yes, we do outsource certain things. Some of the people that are suppliers as well, we are supplying a detergents company for an example, but you don't have promoters. Yes, we can outsource that for you.
All right. Okay. Mayor Tosh, are you satisfied with the responses?
No, I'm not.
You're not? You've got a follow-up?
Yes, please.
Can it be quick in the interest of time? Yes, please.
You said you can also go to the family stores directly. As a business owner, you go to a family store, you drop ship 10 boxes. Where is an opportunity for growth there? Where else you can open up about 30 stores, and then it makes financial sense for us. So all we're requesting is an opportunity. Why don't you say to us, bring the stuff to DC, or who do you speak to? When you speak to the buyers, they tell you it's saturated. You sit here and you tell us there are opportunities. Where are they? How do we access them?
So I'm happy to, like I said, I'm happy specifically on the detergents.
Yes.
I'm happy that we take it offline, we have a discussion in terms of, and happy to direct you to the right person, to say this is the person that you can speak to, and they can then give you a breakdown in terms of what are the requirements so that you are listed through the DC, or alternatively, what are the requirements so that you are listed as a dropshipment supplier, because then it gives you an opportunity for you to put your product out there without you having to go door to door. Hence, I said earlier on, there are pros and cons on both sides of the spectrum. Whether you're going directly, yes, there are pros and cons, because you've got a direct relationship with the retailer. It's less serious in terms of the documentation that you might possibly need, even though that we do ask our retailers to sign a supply direct agreement. But then again, also, you can go via the DC, or you can go as a listed supplier.
Okay. Yeah. So she's going to link you to the right person to fill in that void and gap that you are finding yourself in. You too. Perfect, Ma. We'll sort that out. Tshepo, insights around the demand, the products that are trending, where does one access those? And then also, what is happening with the liquor license?
The liquor license, can I ask that we take it offline, because there's a legal processes around liquor licenses and liquor licensing, so some sensitivities, I don't want to talk around that in a public environment, but I'm happy to share with you afterwards. Do you make your wine?
Yes, I have my wine, which is Mukumbo wines, and I was listed with you guys, but because of the technical
The issues, yes. Amazing. Okay, no. We'll let's engage.
We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Anyone else who is using Takealot for liquor, please get into that conversation.
Yes, let's have an offline discussion.
Perfect. Happy with
that. Without consuming it, but at least not now. But in terms of marketing side, so what we want to do a process that is credible, because you see, South Africa is a very sensitive society, and there are things that if you just do carelessly, you are easily accused, or it becomes easy for people to say you did it for those and not for others. So you kind of like want to do it as objectively as possible, as inclusive as possible. But obviously from a BE point of view, you want to do it in a way that enables particularly historically disadvantaged persons. So that is why with the Gauteng government, part of what we are doing with them is exactly this with the manufacturers within Gauteng. But what we will be doing once we do the partnership with the DTIC, we'll be working with government and doing it through those channels as well, and then thirdly, it's with partnerships such as the organizations that are here, is working with Masisizane Fund, working with other enterprise supply development organizations who are supporting manufacturers to support them so that they can pivot towards areas where we are seeing what's trending, as she's putting it. So I hope that is fine, but certainly it's not. You can't call and say, I want to know this kind of information, because we want to do it in a way that it does not also Takealot up to why would we give that type of information to this one and not that one. Yeah.
All right. Tashline, Innovator Trust, how does one start the journey and what are the requirements?
So firstly, you've got to be a tech enterprise. So registered within the ICT sector. You have to be trading for at least 2 years. You have to be a BE SME, and then ultimately provide us with either management accounts, bank statements for 3 months, or your annual financial statements. And that's the start of it. So you can go online on the Innovator Trust website, apply online, make sure that you meet those criteria, and then there's a couple of documents that will ask you to upload as a result, like your BE certificate, your financials, or your management accounts, etc. And if there's any other questions related, you can come speak to me afterwards, or you can speak to my team member, which is Mandisa. Mandisa's in the pink at the back there. So any questions related to how you can get onto the Innovator Trust portal, database, supply development, enterprise development, please let us know.
Thank you for that. Esther, let's talk about range. You understood that question? Okay, let's talk about range, and then right after range, let's talk about Again, Sihle's Brew. Sihle, you are very lucky today. Well, case study, right? This is going to be beneficial for your business, I promise you. You say you're a development fund. Is there leniency and cost-correcting interventions?
So I'll start with the funding limit. So 250,000, maximum 20 million. So it's quite a wide range that caters for quite a number of businesses or people to be funded. Specific to Sihle's Brew, I think it's very important, as it was mentioned earlier. So if your business is going through financial difficulties, speak up. Make arrangements. Don't allow you to get into, if COVID happened, a lot of things happened. There was load shedding, COVID happened. A lot of our clients came to us, spoke to us. We do have various interventions to assist, either through, moratorium, depending on the business case. It's a case-by-case basis. If you're facing financial difficulty, we have a turnaround, workout and restructure department within Masisizane that helps clients that are in financial distress to get out of financial distress. When you come to us, so currently our support is geared more towards the business support. So you've already been funded with us, and now we're assisting you post the funding. So you're already within the Masisizane fold. I like to think of it as a value chain. So there's the pre-investment before we invest in you. Our funding there, our support there is a bit limited, but the post, which is where I fall in, post the funding, there's various interventions that we can assist your business. I think we've got mentoring, coaching, similar to the Innovative Trust. There's a whole range of support that we can give you as a business to support you for sustainability. So that is very important, because sometimes the business you start with when you got the funding is quite different to your normal day-to-day business. Where your business was 2 years ago is different from where your business is currently. So we do work with you as a funder, and that's the support we give. We're not just a funder that gives you money and leaves you alone. We do, unfortunately, the people within Masisizane do call you, do come to visit your business to understand how are you performing. Are you still selling? Are you still revenue? Are you still giving us, management accounts, bank statement even, to see that, what you said you're using the money for, you're actually using it for. So there's a whole suite of support that we give once you get post the funding mechanism to assist you so that you're sustainable in the long run. I think one of the videos we saw, they went through some of the difficulties. I think when there was a swine flu, some of the pigs, they were affected. The business went through a dip. Part of that is to say, okay, do we need to bring in an agri-specialist, for example, that can provide you with technical abilities? So you might be strong in one arm, financially maybe you're strong, or technically you're strong, but you're lacking in other things that you need to see. And sometimes as a business, you're so focused on the day-to-day running that you're unable to see the bigger picture. So sometimes when you bring in the assistance, we bring in someone who has the wider view, the networks to assist you, so that then you can get your business on the right path, so that ultimately you're sustainable. So more than happy to chat further if you need as well.
All right, thank you so much, Esther. Let's take that last round of questions. I've identified 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Unfortunately, I have to cut it after that. But after I say unfortunately, you can go ahead.
I don't have a question. So
okay.
I just have a comment. Maybe.
So will you give him your question? All right, perfect.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the platform. Very interesting discussions. The government estimates that 90% of the new jobs will be created by entrepreneurs by the year 2030. Surely we should be also having entrepreneurs represented in every platform, which I'd like to put it as a challenge to anyone who's going to organize these kinds of forums, to also have an entrepreneurship voice or an entrepreneurial voice on the platform. Then the second thing is that the quickest way to kill your business is to compete on price. Because we all know that you can't compete with the Chinese. You can't compete with those guys at all on price. So the only way to guarantee your sustainability, you have to build a strong brand. That's just my advice to everyone here. And there's certain things that you need to unlearn. A big one is around the notion that when you give certain types of entrepreneurs funding, they're going to buy Porsches and Ferraris. It is not true. It happened, yes, in the age of tenderpreneurship, when it was booming, when people were getting 100% of money before they even render a service. That's why they bought the Ferraris, because there was no incentive to work. So when you find an entrepreneur who's willing to work, I think there will be much more impact. And lastly, we need to embrace failure. You know, I was fascinated by the story that Lumiso shared earlier on about those entrepreneurs that came here angry, and he's still waiting for them 2 years later. And the reason why it didn't come back probably is because it's still probably in the same position, because everybody has written them off. So we need to change our perception around failure. And the reason why in America, in all these developed countries, the entrepreneurs, they tend to succeed than locally is because when you fail before, actually, that's where they find you more, because they know that you're determined and you don't want to fail again. Thank you.
I like that comment. Even Zosbini tried twice to be Miss South Africa and she became Miss Universe. So please, man. All right, can we get that next question? Yes, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Deline. I'm the founder of Lapizulu Holdings Property Limited, trading as Lapizulu Catering and Events. Our core business is corporate catering. Well, I've got a few questions. Firstly, I think it's...
Can you give me one?
Okay.
Please.
Okay,
or combine two of them in one.
All right, will do.
Yes.
All right, firstly, my first question is to Janine from Proudly South African.
Okay.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to obtain membership from Proudly South African, sponsored by APSA. So that was for the first year, and then the second year, I've now renewed my membership. However, my journey has not been very pleasurable. I've liaised with a few members on the Proudly South African institution, and to no avail have there been any progress. All right, so I must say one thing though, on the socials, they've been reposting my stuff, so I love that. At least I'm getting some exposure. And then secondly, myself and a colleague, we run the same businesses. So because there's a limited resources and access to markets, we've now decided to embarked on a joint venture. So to get more access to market and also to grow our business. So also then finance comes into play. I would like to know if there's anybody on the panel who can assist us and guide us with regards to growing our business and starting to make a difference, just not in the lives of women, but in the lives of youth that are aspiring to do these things. Because coming to events like this, I see that there's a lack of youth in attendance. So I would like to make a big noise on that as well. Thank you so much.
Just for clarity, at Proudly South African, the issue that can you give us a bit of a snapshot of what are you trying to get from them? From them,
yes. All right. So we've got experience in huge events. So we've done huge events such as Soccer and the Stars. So we would like to we would like to be one of the vendors at probably maybe your DSTV Delicious Fest. I've liaised with a lady last year. She was the events coordinator, and then to no avail I was able to get a space. This year I've liaised with Lerato, and she told me there's only a specific amount of vendors that gets chosen, which is I think 8. And they've already done. So although I've been liaising with them since the beginning of the year. So it was quite disheartening for me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, let's take that question there. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Linda Adby. I work in the SME division of Old Mutual. And we do partner from time to time with Masisizane because we also offer funding. My point, though, is more about what was raised earlier in the earlier discussions. Things around the basics that entrepreneurs need to get right, before they actually apply for funding. So things like sorting out your admin, showing up professionally, having the right documentation, and also connecting with the right people. So within Old Mutual, and another colleague mentioned that we do have quite a few business units within our company that are able to offer different services. So on our side, we run a platform called SME Go. It's a digital platform. We spoke earlier about digitization. And the reason why it's called On The Go, SME Go, is because you can actually do all of your documentation on the go. So I'm not just talking invoices, quotes, etc., but it's quite a vast number of documents. We spoke earlier about credit scores. You are able to get that as well. you're also able to, have a central repository of information such that when you are ready to speak to that funder, you can then easily access the information and be able to present it. So like I said, we also do offer funding, but yeah, that's a discussion for another day. 'Cause today we're here about Masisizane.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that comment. There was a question. Yes. Can we just get the mic to come here, please? Yeah. I'll feel a question, so I remember. Yes, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Mabula Ramotwala, and I'm from Cool Crew. It's kids toiletries manufacturing company. My question goes to Esther and the SME go. She just actually mentioned about the credit score. There is a Mabula who hasn't worked a day in her life. She's always been operating in cash. She doesn't have a record of loans, accounts, or whatever the case might be. But then, not that the business doesn't qualify for the funds, but because the credit score, she doesn't have a track record, a profile to show that she can pay and so forth. What happens to
So
people
this
like
is Mapula in her individual capacity,
Yes.
doesn't have the credit scoring.
Who doesn't have a credit score,
scoring, but the business
because
is fine.
The business is fine, the business is running, but then obviously you need cash injection.
Absolutely.
But what happens is they check the ID.
Yes.
What happens to the ID? It goes to the individual, right?
Yes, of
to
course.
show that, she doesn't have an account with Edgas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
perfect, perfect. So we need to transform those scoring, but that's fine. You can give it to the young man here. Thank you so much for that. Yes, sir.
Good day, everyone. My name is Tabiso. I'm from Kalela Wines. My question is directed at Marcia.
Okay.
I wanted, right now we're at the process of raising capital. So our potential funders, they've tasked us with the process of getting distribution agreements. So I wanted to know if ever they are able to assist us or in terms of obtaining those distribution agreements, or where can we go in terms of from SPAR, because we are mainly targeting SPARs.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so that's my last round of questions, right? Everybody comfortable? Sihle's brew. Only fitting. It's only fitting. Talk to us, Sihle.
Okay. I think my question is addressed to Marcia regards to SPAR. And currently, I was in I was in a meeting with one of your buyers. And apparently there is a fee that you need to pay. And is it possible, if you are part of the supply development, to waive those fees, the listing fee, which is quite, it's quite steep for small SMEs. And then also, the second question is, what is the relationship between Masisizane and then what the solution, which problem it will solve if you were to partner both SPAR and Masisizane to help the SMEs to succeed?
Thank you very much. Can we start with Janine?
Hello.
Hi.
Just want to check, please remind me, what business are you in? In catering, okay, all right. Sure, so I'm sorry that you weren't selected to be part of the Delicious Festival this year. We've got a base of 3,000 members, 8 stands. So we're not going to make all of our members happy every year. We also have to rotate, etc. And we also have to adhere to the Delicious Festival's rules, etc. So please don't give up, try again next year, and let's see what happens, But I'm glad that you renewed your membership, and please take advantage of the other benefits that are available to our members. And I'm sure you'll have lots of luck there also. But the Delicious Festival is a difficult one because we also have to rotate, etc. Okay, thank you so much. I mean, we've got members on our base for over 10 years who, there's a lot to consider. All right, thank you so much. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Janine. Esther, I've got no credit score. You said you're going to look at me as the entrepreneur. What do I do?
So your business, would it have a bank account? Would look at the business as well. The business, the track record, the bank statements, the management accounts, the financial statements. So your business would also have those records. So would look at those records as well. I know it might be tricky in your own personal capacity, right? But we'll also, you list, what your income is. So we'll also look at your personal, what we call your personal statements of assets and liabilities. We'll look at what is your income. You'll give us that information. What's your income? What are the things that you pay on a monthly basis? We'll also take that into account. So it's not only, yes, we want to see the credit record because it will give us your track record of repayments, but we'll also look at the business itself. Your business should be able to stand on its own. And sometimes people, they think they don't have credit history. But if you've got insurance on your cell phone, for example, if you've taken out a cell phone contract, that will also count towards that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be you getting funding per se. If you have insurance on your cell phone or contract cell phone, that will also give us insights into your repayment ability somehow.
I think the crux of the answer is that don't get scared. It's a case-to-case basis, right? So they are open to looking at other factors in your business. So, skatoha, go knock, right? Marcia, let's talk about those distribution agreements. Is there a way to assist in acquiring them?
So maybe you said your name is Tabiso. So let's just maybe chat and find out at what stage are you in with your wine business, so that we can assist in terms of what are the requirements so that you can get into that space more than anything else. Yeah. Especially, back to what Tshepo was saying, when it comes to the liquor, there are a lot of legalities that comes into play. So let's have a chat about it afterwards.
All right.
And then back to
the fee.
Yes. Okay. So we are currently in partnership with Masisizane Fund. We've got a couple of retailers which they have funded in terms of setting up their businesses, some from scratch to become SPAR retailers in this particular case, some businesses which Sihle comes through and say, I see there's an opportunity at this particular store, can I please buy it? And then the guys will definitely assist. From a supplier point of view, I'm not aware of Masisizane Fund funding anyone, but I'm pretty sure that, you've put something on the table that we possibly need to explore so that we get you guys also on board. But maybe it's exactly the same conversation that we would need to have, because the focus has always been more around people that are wanting to become retailers as opposed to people wanting to supply. And just to add one more thing, which I just quickly wanted to share, is people tend to look at SPAR, they look at our competitors, all they think of retail space. They think selling in the forefront. There's a whole lot of other back-end stuff that is available for people to do, whether you become a supplier, but perhaps you're not supplying on a shelf per se, but maybe you're supplying as service departments. You're supplying detergents, but you're supplying in the space of food safety compliance in the SPAR store, as opposed to being on shelf. And then you become the best and the biggest, cleaning material. Cleaning material is not only restricted to just shelving, and household and back-end consumer. Understanding that retail brings along the whole it's a supply chain, from raw materials to the distributor, to the store, to the consumer. So you can fit in at any point of the supply chain. It's not always straight from shelf to the consumer.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. I think that's all. Those are all our questions and all the time we do have. Yes, Ma.
Yeah, no, I was just going to comment on the credit score question for SME Go. I think my colleague has covered it in terms of not having a credit record and for a business as well. So in our instance, what we've noticed is that there are people who apply for business loans or business funding, and they are declined. And in response to that, we do have a product where we offer personal loans, because we recognize that sometimes a business may not have a good credit score, but the actual owner does. So we do have that product available.
All right, thank you very much. I unfortunately have to close in the interest of time. Is it a comment? Can we just get a mic to Mabat for a quick comment, please? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Apologies for raising my hand so late. My name is Mabatu Maboya. I'm from an NGO. We support, development in the country. My comment is, I think it's broad, and I think my brother here got me to say, maybe let me just give the comment. We really need to invest in those organizations that take the time to develop ready entrepreneurs. The ecosystem can be flooded. All these questions, organizations such as the Innovator Trust and all other organizations are struggling to find even those that have the funds to fund a ready business, to say, help me develop a ready business. So I think that in our ecosystem, we just need to be frank and open, because most of the support and most of the small businesses, that 90%, are not the ones that are going to be corporate supply chain. I don't think anyone goes into business to say, I want to clean at Old Mutual. They go in to operate their businesses, and they expect that if they are entrepreneurial and that particular business fails, at least they've been supported to be able to start another one. And somebody in this country, which has huge inequality, needs to assist in funding that work, because it doesn't just happen naturally. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Asmabatu. And I think with that, we'll close off our masterclass. Please can I have a resounding round of applause for our A-team as they ascend the stage. Thank you very much.